Well,
Um,
um, you've touched on something that is kind of uh, a tricky subject. One of the things I observed as I was doing research for setting this up is that coincidentally, there was a pandemic in 1666, 1667, and I used that as the foundation for, well, people got sick and some of them recovered and were changed. And one of the things I observed is that coincidentally, the only places that were not touched by that plague were the places that in Africa and in the New World. So the coincidence is that those are also the places where the populace was enslaved or oppressed or whatever. And I decided that I would not make it the case that no talent emerged in those populations, because it seemed to me that that could be easily misunderstood as me making a statement about what I thought about Africans or Native Americans.
so
So so
there,
it was something that I avoided. But
so
what it
there,
means, hmm?
I say, well, the easy out is if a virus caused this mutation, that means at some point in time, those that survive, be they ordinaries, extraordinaries, or normals, they still have that trait within them, which
Hmm.
means once they encounter the new world, the plague would start for them too, and you
Right.
would end up with the same effect upon
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah, that's effectively what happens is in Burning Bright, we brush up against slavery because it is the Caribbean, and there are plenty of slaves. So slavery is still an issue, but it's mainly because the people who don't have talent are enslaved by the ones who do. So for example, any African, anyone from an African nation who was enslaved is probably enslaved because there were people who had talent who could impose that. Because it's like you say, if you've got somebody who can burn you alive, it's pretty hard to make them a slave. Um, but I don't go into a lot of detail on the slavery because it is such a big thing, and I didn't want the story to be overwhelmed or become a referendum on slavery. So it's mentioned in the first book, and it's mentioned in the last book where they finally come to the United States.